صل على محمد وآله يا رسول الله يا علي يا علي اللهم صل على أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين ثم الصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على أفضل الموجودات العبد المؤيد الرسول المسدد المصطفى الأمجد والمحمود الأحمد سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا والشفيع ذنوبنا صاحب الوقار والسكينة المدفون بأرض المدينة أبي القاسم محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين من الأولين والآخرين آمين يا رب العالمين. فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى في كتابه الكريم وهو أصدق القائلين وقوله الحق بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم بل هو قرآن مجيد في لوح محفوظ صلوات اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Respected scholars, dear brothers, sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept your a'za, your azadari for Sayyid al-Shuhada, each and every tear that you have shed so far, from the 1st of Muharram, inshallah, until Arba'in and after Arba'in. May each tear be accepted by the Lady of Light, Fatima Zahra, salawatullahi alayha. And we pray that Allah gives us tawfiq year after year to mourn Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. For there is no greater honor than to sit in the majlis of Hussein and to mourn our Mawla, our Master Abu Abdullah al-Hussein as Shia, as Mu'mineen. The hadith that I want to put forward tonight is known in the narration as Hadith al-Lawh. It is a narration which is considered amongst the Imamiyya, Ithna Ashariya, to be amongst the most authentic of narrations and has come up in major Shi'i books and works, from classical to contemporary scholars, from the Mutaqaddimin to the Mutaakhirin. This hadith is known as the hadith of the Lawh or the tablet. And to begin that, I've quoted the verse of the Holy Quran of Surah Buruj, the last two ayat, where Allah, when He discusses the Holy Quran, He says, look, the Quran is in Lawh Mahfuz. It's a tablet which has preserved the Holy Quran. In other words, when the Quran was revealed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the Quran upon the Prophet from this Lawh or this tablet, which is preserved with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now the same tablet or the same Lawh is referred to in this hadith, Hadith al-Lawh. What is this Hadith al-Lawh? Why is it so important? And which books and which ulama have recorded this in their major works? Number one, Al-Kafi, Usul Al-Kafi, by Muhaddis Shaykh Yaqub al-Kulayni. He has narrated this hadith in his book. As-Suduq, in his Kamaluddin, has narrated this hadith, known as the hadith of the tablet. Or, for example, in his the same Suduq, in his Uyun Akhbarul Rida, again has narrated this hadith. Al-Majlisi in his Biharul Anwar, which is an encyclopedia, 110 volumes, has narrated this hadith. And so most major works of the Shia Muhaddithin have quoted this tradition. And just to highlight the tradition or the importance of the tradition before I mention the tradition, let me give you something from Abu Basir. Abu Basir, as you know, is a rawi of many of the narrations in the books of the Shia. From the 5th Imam, from the 6th Imam. This is someone who's continuously narrated narrations, because he's heard directly from the Aimma. Abu Basir says to Abdul Rahman ibn Salim, O Abdul Rahman, if you have not heard any other hadith in your lifetime, if you have not heard or learnt any other narration in your lifetime, illa hadha al-hadith, except this one narration, then by God, know this one narration will suffice. This one hadith will be enough for you. If you've not heard anything from the Prophet, from the A'immat Ahlul Bayt, about any other subject or matter, this one hadith is enough for you. And then he says something. He says, look, but don't narrate it to everyone. Only narrate it to those who have the ma'rifah of al-Muhammed. So, what is the importance of this hadith? That if you have not heard anything, this one hadith is enough. You know why? Because in a nutshell, this one narration, this one hadith has within it, contains within it the aqeedah of tashayyu', the belief of the Shia Imamiyya Ithna Ashariyya, from the beginning to the end, in a nutshell. And so for this reason, if you want Tawheed, the hadith begins with Tawheed. If you want Nabuwa, the hadith moves on to Nabuwa. If you want Imama, this hadith mentions the name of each and every Imam. 12 Imams. This is before the Imams were born. And also this hadith is one of the oldest written texts that we have. You know the Mus'haf of Fatima? The book of the Lady of Light? After Rasulullah, when the Prophet passed from this dunya, Jibreel would descend continuously on the Lady of Light and speak directly with Fatima Zahra. And hence she's known as Muhaddatha, the one who would communicate with the Malaika, with the angels. And whatever communication took place between Sayyidah Zahra and Jibreel, Amirul Mu'mineen penned it down. And this became known as the Mus'haf of Fatima, or the Sahifa of the Lady of Light. But this is when? After the passing of Rasulullah, after the istishhad of the Prophet. Or you have, for example, the Kitabu Aliyin, the book of Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam. He has his own book. All of these, by the way, are tabarrukat. These are artifacts which will be with the 12th Imam when he returns. The Mus'haf of Fatima, the Kitabu Ali, the Qur'anu Ali, the Dhul-Fiqar of Amirul Mu'mineen. These are all tabarrukat which will be with the 12th, amongst the signs of the Sahibul Asr wal Zaman. Will be these artifacts that have been passed along lineage, from lineage to lineage in al-Muhammad. But when is this book written? In the year of the birth of Imam Sayyidul Shuhada Hussein ibn Ali alayhi salatu wassalam. In the year of the birth of the Holy Imam. So this is before Mus'haf of Fatima. This is before Kitabu Ali. And one of the oldest ones that were penned, that were written. Now, what is the hadith? The hadith is from Imam as-Sadiq, who says, one day my father Imam al-Baqir. So Imam as-Sadiq is narrating this from Imam al-Baqir, who has a conversation with Jabir ibn Abdullah. You all know Jabir ibn Abdullah was the one who Rasulullah gave him a guarantee. You'll meet Muhammad al-Baqir, give him my salam. You all know that. Now, look at the irony of it. The whole world, Sunni or Shia, they come together, they recite for the Prophet, they recite the Na'at, they recite for him Qasa'id, and they give salams to the Prophet. Sallu ala al-Habib, as they say. Yet if the Habib gives anyone salam, that's Muhammad al-Baqir. If the Messenger of Allah wants to give anyone his salam, it's Imam al-Baqir. Now look at this. The son says, my father. Yani Imam Sadiq, the son, my father Imam al-Baqir. He says one day he met Jabir and he says, oh Jabir, come and meet me in private. Come and meet me in private. He says, Yabna Rasulullah, at your service. Anytime. He comes to the house. Imam Sadiq says he comes and he knocks on the door of my father. And he takes him by the hand and he takes him inside until they're both alone and in private. He says, oh Jabir, do you remember that day you entered the house of our grandmother Fatima upon the birth of Hussein? And you saw something in the hands of Lady Fatima that struck you. He says, yes, Yabna Rasulullah. Of course I do. He says, do you remember what was in her hands? He says, yes, there was a tablet, a heavenly tablet. When I entered the house of Fatima to congratulate the Prophet and Ali and Fatima on the birth of Hussein, I saw something shining in the hands, something heavenly, out of this world. Something I'd never seen in my life. Something that was shining brightly captured my attention. I came close and I said, oh my lady, what is that? I've never seen anything like this. She says, oh Jabir, this is al-Lawh that has been given from Allah to my father Rasulullah on the birth of Hussein. And as congratulations on the birth of Hussein, my father has gifted it directly to me. Allahu Akbar. Allah gave this to his messenger and he gave it to me. And he says, by God, I saw it was a 3D tablet. 3D. al-Lawh. And there were certain words that shined out. The Imam says, what were the words? He says, I saw the word Muhammed written 3 times. And the word Ali written 4 times. For we have in the 12, 3 Muhammads and 4 Alis. We saw certain names. The Imam now asks him a question. He stops him. He says, look, stop. Do you have it written down? He says, yes, I have it at home. The Imam says, let's go. They walk until they reach the house of Jabir. Jabir comes in, brings a scroll out, a scroll which is rolled up. He opens it. And as he's about to read what he had directly heard from Lady Fatima, the Imam says, stop. I'll read it to you, you check it. Allahu Akbar. So he hears it from a Masoom, Masooma, said the Zahra. And now he has it double checked from another Masoom. Imagine the authenticity of this piece of work. And he says, by God, the Imam read this hadith. It's a lengthy narration. He read it word by word exactly as I had written it down in that scroll. There was not a word which was added, and there was not a word which was missing. There was not a single mistake. Each and everything that I had written, the Imam Sadiq has recited it to me. What's in this? This is where I want to bring you. Abu Basir says to Abdul Rahman, if you have not read anything else except this hadith, this one hadith for you is enough. And he says, look, don't narrate it to everyone. Only narrate it to the people of Ma'rifah. You know, there were certain secrets of al-Muhammad that Salman and Abu Dhar knew, but the other companions did not. Because the closer you were with Ali and Fatima, the more of the asrar and the rumuz of al-Muhammad you were capturing from al-Muhammad. It's not that Aimma would narrate everything to everyone. There was a circle, and then there was an inner circle. Salman and Abu Dhar and Miqdad and Ammar were amongst the inner circle. And within the inner circle was another circle which was of Salman and Abu Dhar. And amongst that was another circle which was of Salman and Ali. Now you know Salman minna Ahlul Bayt. Or Salman occupies the highest rank of Iman. Why? Because of his ma'rifah of al-Muhammad. The higher the ma'rifah of any companion, of any sahabi in regards to al-Muhammad, the greater his rank in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, without any reservation, we say this. Who is the greatest sahabi of the Prophet in the eyes of the Shia? Salman al-Muhammadi. Why? Because of how close he was in his ma'rifah, how close he was to Amir al-Mu'mineen and Sayyid al-Zahra and other companions. The 10th level is of that of Salman. The 9th level is that of Abu Dhar. Abu Basir says, don't narrate this except to the ones who know. What does the narration say? I want to pick up just a few points because a narration like this requires a series of lectures. But some points that I've chosen from there. Number one, هذا كتاب من الله العزيز الحكيم لمحمد نبيه ونوره. The first line, this is a book from Allah to His messenger who is from His nur, His light. وَسَفِيرِهِ وَدَلِيلِهِ. He is His sent. He is the one that has been sent by Him as His representative. He is the argument, the proof of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So number one, it has been given directly to the messenger. Number two, the messenger is made from His light. He is sent by Him. He is His greatest proof and argument. And it moves on. And the first part is on Tawheed. Inni an Allah. I am God. I am Allah. So the first section is Tawheed. The second section is on Risala. He says, O Prophet, Inni faddaltuka ala al-anbiya. I have honored you and graced you above all of the anbiya. There is no Nabi like you. وَفَضَّلْتُ وَسِيِّكَ عَلَى الْأَوْسِيَاءِ. And there is no wasi like your wasi. There is no prophet like you, and there is no wasi like Ali ibn Abi Talib. And then from there, he says, by God, I did not raise a prophet except that I'd chosen for him a representative. This is the belief, the ideology of the Shia, that no prophet dies. It is haram on a Nabi to die until he introduces his wasi after him. No Nabi can leave this dunya, cannot die, cannot leave, unless his representative, his vicegerent has been chosen. And it comes directly from Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. So now you know what I mean. This hadith in a nutshell contains all of the major usul of the Shia. The principles of the La ilaha illallah. The first section on Tawheed. Muhammadan Rasulullah. The second section on Nabuwa, on Risala. Aliyun Waliyullah. The third section on that Ali has been chosen. Allah has chosen as a vicegerent for you, Ali ibn Abi Talib. And you do not have a greater helper than Ali ibn Abi Talib. Then one by one, each and every name of the 12 Imams is mentioned by name and title. When? At the time of the birth of Hussein. There's only 3 Imams yet. Imam Zain al-Abidin is not born. Imam Baqir is not born. Imam Sadiq is not born. So amongst the other narrations, I fail to understand how someone can come out and say, look, this 12erism is something made up. At the time of Hussein, 12 names were present amongst the Shia of al-Muhammad. To say that no, this 12erism is something new, there were no 12, people back then didn't know. Jabir asked the Prophet, who are they? He says, أولهم Ali wa akhiruhum Mahdi. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Numerous narrations were the names of the 12 or the number 12. In our, let alone Bukhari and Muslim, which speaks of 12 khulafa or 12 rijal or amir. Different words have been used. But the point is, the concept of 12 is still there. Muslim, Bukhari, the same Bukhari who does not mention Hadith al-Ghadir. It gives you an idea of Bukhari. Yet he mentions 12. Muslim mentions 12. Our narrations mention by name. Ali, then his son Hassan, his brother Hussein, Zain al-Abidin, Muhammad al-Baqir, Ja'far al-Sadiq, ila. The 12th Imam. So it's established from the time of the birth of Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein that the Imams will be 12. Not one less, not one more. And then a point or two from this, and it's beautiful how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He praises the Prophet, He says, look, I've praised you that I've made you the best of the prophets. And I've graced you that I've made your brother Ali the best of the vicegerents. And then He says, I've blessed and graced you that I've given you the best of two grandsons, Sibtain, Hassan wa Hussein. I've given you the best of grandchildren. There are no grandchildren like Hassan and Hussein. Now this is the important part. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala introduces Imam Hassan by his name. And then He says, وَجَعَلْتُ حَسَنًا مَعْدَنَ عِلْمِي. And I've made Hassan as the source of my knowledge. مَعْدَنَ عِلْمِي, not ilm, ilmi. I've made him a source of my knowledge. What does that mean? He's the cave, he's the source. When when you dig the ground, you dig for coal mining. You dig it from the source, and from there it's transported around the world. Ilm has spread the world, but the source of the ilmullah is Hasan al-Mujtaba. The source of the ilm of Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala is Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam. And then the next part is beautiful. Then Allah now turns to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. وَجَعَلْتُ حُسَيْنًا خَازِنَ وَحْيِي. Allahu Akbar. And I have made Hussein the holder, the treasure holder of my revelation. Let that sink in for a minute. What does that mean? Aba Abdullah al-Hussein holds the treasures of revelation. Wahi. Hassan, ilmi. Hussein, wahi. What does that mean? It means that all of revelation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from Adam to Khatam, whatever revelation ever descended upon the Prophet Adam alayhi salam, whatever revelation descended on Isa alayhi salam, Musa Kalimullah, whatever kalam, whatever conversation that ever took place between Musa and his Rabb, his Lord, and whatever was ever given to Yaqub and Yusuf and all of the Anbiya, including Rasulullah, is contained within the heart of Aba Abdullah. This is huge. This is ma'rifah. Hussein is not just Ibn Ali. He is. But this is a very superficial understanding of Hussein ibn Ali. Hadith al-Lawh. All of revelation, all of whatever took place between Allah and His Prophet Adam, Allah and His Prophet Isa, Allah and His Prophet Khalilullah, Ibrahim and Ismail, is contained within the heart of Aba Abdullah. Now you know why the Imams would say, La yawm ka yawmika ya Aba Abdullah. You know why the Imams would say that? And this hadith from Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam, Ayatollah Wahid al-Khurasani hafidhahullah, he says this hadith is qat'i al-sudur. There is no doubt in the authenticity of this hadith. La yawm ka yawmika ya Aba Abdullah. There is no day like the day of Ashura. You know why? Have you ever wondered why Ahlul Bayt would repeat this again and again? And why this only exists for the day of Hussein. It doesn't exist for the day of Ali ibn Abi Talib. It doesn't exist for the day of Hassan. It doesn't exist for the day of Sayyidah Zahra or Rasulullah or the Masa'ib of A'imma. But it's something about Imam Hussein that it exists for Sayyid al-Shuhada. And this is where the ma'rifah of Hussein lies. If you're all with me on this point. This is where the real ma'rifah of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam lies. There is no day like the day of Ashura. What happened on the day of Ashura? Imam Hussein's blood was spilled? Yes. Amir al-Mu'mineen's blood was spilled in the Masjid of Kufa. Imam Hassan alayhi salam was vomiting out his blood. But what is it about Sayyid al-Shuhada? The blood of Hussein and the blood of Hassan are equal. They are from one nur, min nurin wahid. Ziyarat Jami'ah. The blood of Hussein and the blood of Hassan are equal in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The love Sayyidah Fatima has for Hassan is the same love she has for Hussein. And we have narrations on that, by the way. But now's not the time. But what is it about the day of Ashura? The answer is this. That Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam, by giving his blood on the day of Ashura, not only did he save the deen of Muhammad, in fact, he saved the hard work of all of the Anbiya that came before Muhammad. Because it contains within him the wahi that took place between him and Allah and Adam, Allah and Ibrahim, Allah and Ismail, Allah and Yaqub, Allah and Yusuf, Allah and Isa, Allah and Musa, Allah and Muhammad, and all of the Anbiya. The names, some have been mentioned, some have not been. We don't know how many Anbiya. We have an estimate. Quran mentions some of them, 25 by name. We don't know who else, what else, where. But whatever conversation or wahi took place between Allah and His Prophet, whoever that Prophet is within Hussein ibn Ali. لبيك يا حسين اللهم صل على محمد. Everyone with me so far? That is why the day of Ashura is so, because Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam, you know, these are very small things. Imam Hussein saved salah, namaz, pray on the day of Ashur. But that's a very small thing. Even the enemies prayed. He saved kalimatul la ilaha illallah takbir. The enemies did that. They killed Imam Hussein and said Allahu Akbar. Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam saved the hard work of all of the prophets. Had Hussein not given his blood on that day, had Ashur not been Ashur, Adam's hard work would have gone to waste. Noah's hard work would have gone to waste. Musa's hard work would have gone to waste. The Prophet's hard work would have gone to waste. So by giving his blood and doing what Hussein did on the day of Ashura, not only did he save Imama, he saved the Tawheed of Allah, he saved the Risala of the Rusul, and he saved the Imama of the 12 Imams. La yawm ka yawmika ya Aba Abdullah. That's why there is no day like the day of Sayyidul Shuhada. Contains within him, everything eventually boils down, it comes down to this one man. And hence you're either with Hussein or you're with the enemies of Hussein. There is no neutrality when it comes to Sayyidul Shuhada. You either stand with Hussein or you're in the other camp. And today, you know, people talk about moral compass. With all the wars that are happening around the world, the bloodshed, the killing. If today we support the oppressed, the madhloom, whoever, wherever, if our moral compass is in the right place, it's because of Karbala. And hence no land, no matter how hard it gets hit, cannot become Karbala. Cannot be compared to Karbala. So this saying that today's Karbala is this and this, no. There is only one Karbala. And that is where the body of Hussein lies today. Today, whatever we have is because of Sayyidul Shuhada. And what is the hadith continues? Let me give the hadith and then I'll continue. وَجَعَلْتُ حُسَيْنًا خَازِنَ وَحْيِ فَهُوَ أَفْضَلُ مَنِ اسْتُشْهِدَ وَأَرْفَعُ الشُّهَدَاءِ دَرَجَةً. He is the greatest to ever be killed, to ever be martyred. There's a message in this. You know, there are people who are killed, and as a result of their martyrdom, they're honored. I want your attention on this point. Someone may have no honor, but when he's wronged, unjustly killed, the people raise their voices for him or her. You all know what I'm talking about. Sometimes they have no honor, or they may have nothing special about them. Ordinary people like us. For all Muslims are equal. Yet because of the suffering they face, people say, look, they're madhloom. They're honored. Oh, they're killed. Their children are killed. So martyrdom honors people. But this is not the case for Hussein. Allahu Akbar. Martyrdom did not honor Hussein. Hussein honored martyrdom. He was afdal even before he became Sayyidul Shuhada. He was Sayyid Shabab Ahlul Jannah even before he was killed. Hussein did not need to be killed to go into Jannah or to become the master of the youth of paradise. It was given to Hussein the day Hussein was born. Allahumma salli ala. And so no shaheed can be compared to a shaheed like Hussein. Yes, they're oppressed. We don't say they're not oppressed. Even Para Chanar, Pakistan, where Shias, you saw the videos, how they were beheaded from the back of the head. Like Imam Hussein was from the back of the head. But even then, Para Chanar is not the Karbala of today. If anything, Para Chanar should be the Karbala because that's what the Shia are. But even we say no. There is no Hussein of today and there is no Karbala of today. There's only one Hussein, there's only one Karbala. Yes, it is because of Hussein our moral compass is in the right place. It is because of Karbala we know that we know to raise our voices for the Madhloom. Had it not been for Hussein, we would have been lost. And tragedy, tragedies are forgotten. 50 years from today, people will forget what's happening today in the world. It will be forgotten. It will be put down in a book as another genocide that took place. Another war that took place. Yet year after year, you see how Karbala comes to life. I don't know what it is. It's not history. Karbala is not history. Karbala is living. Because if it was history, it would have been forgotten. Khalas, done. 1,400 something years. But yet, I once heard a BBC reporter who covered a majlis say that they cry as if their Imam died today. Allahu Akbar. There is something in this. This is a promise of Allah. This is the promise of the Prophet. When Sayyidah Zahra says, so who will cry? The Prophet says, Allah will raise a qawm. Allah will raise a nation. You and I, we are proud, we are honored that we are that nation about whom the Prophet spoke about. And so this is Sayyidul Shuhada. This is Ma'arafah of Sayyidul Shuhada. He carries all of the words of God. He was Shaheed even before he became Sayyidul Shuhada. His rank of Shahada is the greatest. He honors martyrdom. And I always say this. By Ali ibn Abi Talib being born in the Kaaba, Ali was not honored. The Kaaba was honored with the birth of Ali. For the honor of the Imam of the Kaaba is greater than the Kaaba. It is Ali ibn Sayyidul Shuhada, the same thing. And so this is why, Abu Basir, don't narrate to everyone. Because not everyone has the capacity to hold those words that Allah speaks about here, about Imam Hussein. Yeah, that doesn't mean we hide, no. But one thing is for sure. Sometimes the Imams would do this. A person would come to the Holy Imam and would say, Yabna Rasulillah, do you have ilmul ghaib? He said, yes. Another person would come and would say, do you have ilmul ghaib? He would say, no. Ayatollah said, Hashim al-Hashimi, he discusses this. He says, why do we have this? He says, because the Imam will look at the level of the ma'rifah of the person. Because you will find people, when they look at certain maqamat and fada'il of Ali ibn Abi Talib, they say, that's not possible. How does a human being do that? How does Ali return the sun? The mu'jiz of Raddu Shams? How can Ali return the sun from setting back to the place of Asr? And so the answer is clear. And the answer is from the Imam himself, Imam al-Baqir alayhi salatu wassalam. He says, there's only three who will accept us, our merits, our wilaya, and our position, kama hakkahu, as it should be accepted. One, a malak, an angel who's close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Two, a nabi, a prophet. Or three, a mu'min. What type of mu'min? Salman says, what type of mu'min? He says, the one whose heart has been tested by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Salman came to Amir al-Mu'mineen and he says, Ya Ali, what is the definition of that mu'min? Amir al-Mu'mineen says, the mu'min whose heart has been tested by Allah to the extent that when he hears something about us, he doesn't doubt our position with Allah. He doesn't doubt our miracles. He doesn't doubt our mu'jazat. That is a mu'min whose heart has been tested by Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. And so this is the problem. You see, sometimes you hear the manaqib of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, you go on two extremes. One, ghulu. Ali is God. Wala'iyadu billah. Hassan is God. Hussein is a God. Or the other extreme, no, Ali cannot do that. Ali was just a man like you and I. Ghulu, taqsir. Ghali, muqassir. What is the idea of al-Muhammed? Al-amru bayn al-amrayn. The Shia is in the middle. All of these things are in Hadith al-Lawh, directly from Allah. Someone say, how is it that Imam Hussein's heart contains all of the revelation? But they're not ordinary. These are the hujjah of Allah, hujjajullah. Allah can give to His hujjah that which He pleases. Imam Baqir says, look, when something reaches you of us, of our position, and it doesn't make sense to you, you can't digest it. Don't say, kayfa kana wa kayfa ja'a hada. Don't say, how is it possible? How was it? Or how did the Imam do this? How did this come? The Imam says, don't say that. Wait. Try to understand it. Try to learn it. Try to research. And the mu'min, and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to open the chest so that one can take those manaqib of al-Muhammad. How is it that Rasulullah split the moon in half? The shaqqul qamar. The Prophet, with the Prophet points to the moon, he splits it in half. How is it possible? If Musa can split the sea, and you don't doubt that, then Muhammad is the Nabi of Musa. If Musa can split the sea, then Muhammad can split the moon. And if Muhammad can split the moon, then Ali can split Marhab in half. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Don't say how, where. If Musa can do it, and if Isa can raise the dead. It's my last point before I come to Masai. If Isa can raise the dead, you remember the hadith? Where the Prophet Isa was given harfain, two of the letters of Ismul A'zam, Asma'ullah al-A'zam. He had harfain, he only had two. You know what Isa would do. He would raise the dead, he would cure the blind, he'd give them sight, those who could not talk, those who were mute. He would give them the power of speech. There was nothing that Isa could not do. He only had two of the Asma'ullah al-A'zam. Yet Hussein has 72 out of 73. Now imagine what Hussein could do. You know what Imam Hussein could do? Imam Hussein on the day of Ashura, if he wanted, he could have pointed to the Furat and commanded it to flow this way, and it would have done so. Imam Hussein, if he wanted, he could have tapped on the ground and there would be another Zamzam coming out of there. You may say, well, why did he not do it then? You know why he didn't do it? The fact that he could do it and did not do it, the kamal lies in that. The perfection, the sabr lies in this. Not that he could have done it and he got water and he drank it. No, there would be no kamal in that. The sabr of Hussein, the kamal of Hussein is in the fact that he could have done it, and yet he had patience and he was a sabr in front of his Rabb. This is where the kamal of Hussein lies. Otherwise, Imam Hussein has that wilaya upon each and everything, men and jinn. And the waters, all of the oceans are under the command of Imam al-Hussein. As our Jami'ah says, because of you, at your command, Allah sends down the rain. Because of you. And yet, the people who had command over everything, we find that they were chained and they were commanded to be paraded through the streets of Sham. The people who were honored by Rasulullah, we find that their honor they tried to take their honor away by parading them like slaves to the streets, to the souk of Sham. You know what Imam Sajjad alayhi salam says? Imam Sajjad alayhi salatu wasalam says, there are certain things that I will never forget. He says, Mawla, where yabna Rasulillah? He says, Asham. There's certain things that happened to us in Sham that by God I'll never forget them as long as I live. He says, Mawla, what was it? He says, they dragged us like you drag a slave through a market. The same people who Rasulullah would sit Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein onto his shoulders. This is Ali ibn al-Hussein. And they drag him to the streets. They say, what else is it? You know what Imam Sajjad says? There's another thing that Imam Sajjad says, I'll never forget. He says, what is it? He says, when we entered Sham, and we're in the nights when Ahl Haram will enter Sham. Imam Sajjad says, I still remember the night when we entered Sham. When we entered Sham, everyone gathered. We were made to wait. And then when the city was ready, we were paraded. Where were we paraded? We were paraded through the streets of the Christians and the Jews. And they said, O Christians, O Jews, O those who want revenge for Khaybar and Khandaq, or those who have animosity towards Ali ibn Abi Talib, come look, the daughters of Ali have entered Sham. He says, by God, I'll never forget that. He says, what else will you not forget? He says, I will remember when we entered Sham, the women of Sham would throw down burning coals. One of the burning coals hit my head. It fell into my turban, but I could not remove it because my hands were tied behind my neck, and this coal would burn my head. Ajrukum ala Allah, they said, Mawla, what else is it that you will not forget from Sham? Are you ready for this? He says, I remember when they wanted to enter us into the city of Sham. They said, no one will enter unless the heads will be paraded with the ladies of al-Muhammed. And so the head was brought close to Layla. And so a mother sees the head of her son like this. And then another head, the Qasim's head, was brought towards Farwa. Again a mother sees her son's head. Imagine what is going through the heart of this mother. And so another head was brought forward. Whose head was this? This was the head of Abul Fadl al-Abbas. It was brought close to Kulthum. Now imagine a sister seeing her brother's head. But are you ready for this? When they brought the head of Aba Abdullah, they brought it close to Zainab. Sayyidah Zainab, when she saw the head of Aba Abdullah, she says, "Oh moon, oh the moon of Fatima, is this why Fatima raised you?" She struck her head onto the wood of that carriage, and blood began to flow from her forehead. But this was not the worst. Do you know what was the worst? The worst was that in her lap was her 3-year-old daughter. When she saw the head of her father, Aba Abdullah. اجرکم علی اللہ، اجرکم علی اللہ. بس 2 جملے میں زحمت تمام کر رہا ہوں. بس عزاداروں میں اپنے مولا سجاد سے پوچھتا ہوں، اے آقا سجاد، آپ کے لیے کون سا وقت سب سے زیادہ مشکل تھا؟ یا وہ وقت کہ جب آپ بازار شام میں داخل ہوئے اور اپنے باپ کا سر نوک نیزہ پہ دیکھا؟ یا پھر وہ منظر مشکل تھا جب اپنی پھوپھی کو بے مکنا و چادر دیکھا؟ یا پھر وہ منظر مشکل تھا کہ جب زینب کو دربار یزید میں پیش کیا گیا؟ یا پھر میرے مولا وہ دن 11 محرم کا دن جب میرے مولا سجاد کو قیدی بنا کر شہداء کے لاشوں کے درمیان سے گزارا گیا؟ بھئی کوئی بیٹا اپنے باپ کو اس حالت میں نہ دیکھے. جب میرا مولا سجاد اپنے باپ کے لاشے پر آیا ہے نا، تو کیا دیکھا؟ باپ کا لاشا ہے، سر تن سے جدا ہے، گھوڑوں کی ٹاپوں سے سینہ زخمی ہے، عجیب حالت ہے. اتنے تیر پیوست ہیں میرے مولا کے جسم میں کہ حسین کا جسم خاک کربلا پہ نہیں ہے، حسین کا جسم اس تیروں پر بلند ہے. بس یہ حالت تھی میرے مولا سجاد کی کہ ایک مرتبہ قریب تھا میرے مولا کی روح پرواز کر جاتی. جب زینب نے یہ دیکھا کہ امام سجاد کی حالت غیر ہو رہی ہے، بی بی نے اپنے آپ کو ناکے سے گرا دیا. یہاں زینب ناکے سے زمین پہ آئی. میرا مولا اپنے بابا کو بھول گیا، زینب کو اپنے سینے سے لگایا. میں کہوں گا مولا اپنی پھوپھی سے اتنی محبت تھی، ابھی تو شام کے بازار میں ظالم تازیانے ماریں گے، ابھی تو وہ لوگ پتھر پھینکیں گے. اجرکم علی اللہ. اسی جملے پہ زحمت تمام کر رہا ہوں. بھئی یہ تو امام سجاد نے حسین کو دیکھا تھا. اب ذرا غور کیجئے، جب زینب نے بھائی کا لاشا دیکھا تھا تو ایک جملہ کہا تھا بی بی نے. جانتے ہیں کیا کہا تھا؟ جب بی بی نے بھائی کا لاشا دیکھا، حالت ایسی تھی بی بی پہچان نہ سکی. ایک جملہ کہا اے بھیا، انت اخی، کیا آپ ہی میرے بھائی ہیں؟ الا لعنت اللہ علی القوم الظالمین وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. ماتم حسین.
حسین